Medical disclaimer. The content of this video is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition, and always get proper treatment for serious medical conditions. Legal disclaimer. Use only legal measures to combat the virus and cooperate with government officials, first responders and healthcare workers to make the coronavirus a thing of the past and create a perfect society ASAP. Use common sense, logic and help your fellow humans if necessary, also to lower the risk of being vaccinated mandatorily ourselves and to end the pandemic as soon as possible. The objective of my videos is not to slander people nor to incite or trigger people, but to do the opposite, exposing it when people are wrongly accused and to create universal peace, world peace or just peace on earth. People are innocent till proven guilty in the court of law. One who knows of evidence must testify, not to convict anyone without a fair trial.
Greetings, superior beings, greetings, supreme being. We are all the human race. Our common enemy is death. Welcome on Perfect Society. I'm Ulrich Hofmann, and this is the broadcast COVID-19 death rate compared to the death rate of the deadliest diseases. 29th of May 2021, of course. Okay. So in the background we see an illustration that I'll get to later, and that shows all top global causes of death versus COVID. By Pedro Teixeira, don't know if I pronounced it correctly, on the 15th of July 2020. That was the most recent one I could find, but I'll get to the more recent numbers. Also we have this illustration from Wikipedia. I'll get to that in a few seconds. Let's see if we can get some browser pages to work. Going through the material I've selected for this broadcast. Okay, here we have ourworldindata.org. Number of deaths by cause, World 2017. Of course, perhaps it's a good idea to have the Index Mundi website. Death rate by year chart. So this is all global. And we can see the death rate was 9 in the year 2000. It was 8.12 in 2010, and in 2020 it was 7.69 deaths per thousand population. And this is data from the CIA World Factbook. So some people would argue there is no pandemic. In some countries they have an epidemic because the number of deaths in 2020 was lower than in the 20 years before that. Some years are missing, so perhaps it would be nice to also check the World Factbook. But this is indexmundi.com. So then we can get back to the chart of 2017. So these numbers are probably higher than the numbers for 2020. 17.79 million, about 17.8 million cardiovascular diseases, deaths globally, cancers 9.56 million, etc. Respiratory diseases 3.91 million, lower respiratory infections 2.56 million. So you could combine them. Lower respiratory infections can be under respiratory diseases, of course. Dementia 2.51 million deaths. Digestive diseases 2.38 million. Neonatal disorders 1.78 million, etc. And then we can look at the current number. May 29th, 2021, 3,539,068 deaths thus far. And that's in total, so that's for 2020 plus about 5 months of the year 2021. So to look at the number for the year 2020, let's see, this is January 1st, 2021. So in 2020 we had 1,824,140 COVID-19 deaths. So that's about 1.8 million. So compared to the 2017 number of deaths by cause, 1.824 is just below digestive diseases, 2.38 million. So in between digestive diseases and neonatal disorders. So that's in 7th place, basically, if you'd see it as a top 10. But again, that's compared to 2017, so let's look at what else we can find. First, the number of coronavirus cases on January 1st, 2021 was 83,748,593. So that's about 84 million. Deaths, 1.8 million. And for the United States on January 1st, it was 20 million. 84 million globally and 20 million in the US. And they have about one COVID-19 case rate that is about 150 times higher than the COVID-19 case number in China. I calculated that for a certain date. So there are about 150 times more coronavirus cases in the US than in China. I could perhaps find it fast. Coronavirus is a common cold virus like influenza, adenovirus, orthopneumovirus, and enteroviruses other than rhinoviruses. wiki/common_cold. Then in China, USA, 22nd of March 2021, 91,835 cases, 1,671 deaths per million. China, 63 cases, 3 deaths per million. So there are 1,458 times more cases and 557 times more deaths per million population in the USA than in China. So what could be the cause of that? You all think, let me know via Skype, ProLogic999. We can also do a broadcast together. This public healthcare expenditure today was on over 16 billion yesterday. And public education expenditure was over 1 billion. So at night, when I check late at night, then that number is much higher. So they reset that at a certain time. Current world population about 7.9 billion, 869 million, if we wait for a while. And coronavirus cases today, May 29th, 2021, 170,186,396, and deaths 3,539,086. Then we have wonder.cdc.gov showing the adverse events reported for the COVID-19 vaccine, and pain in extremity is in the top 10 of main adverse events reported for the COVID-19 vaccine, 25,782. Still in 8th place. Worldwide, 1.8 billion doses have been given. 5.3% of the people are fully vaccinated, and at least 413 million people worldwide, 5.3% of the population, have completed vaccination. So they've had 2 shots, so you have to multiply this number by 2, and then add 807 million, that should be about 1.8 billion. The annual number of deaths by cause, this was for 2016, and Wiki lists 17.65 million cardiovascular disease deaths, 8.93 million cancer deaths. I can turn on the better version I have of this. Turn off my cam for a while. Voila. So this is for 2016. You could argue it's even worse, but in this overview, which I think has rather high numbers, 3.5 million deaths would be about the same as respiratory disease. We're at 3.539 million. So that's practically the same as respiratory disease for 2016. So let's get back to the wiki article. All right. So that's wiki/list of causes of death by rate. It's with this article. And what I think is weird, that they don't have a more recent update of these numbers. Where do I find this for 2019, 2020 especially? We're now in 2021, the 29th of May 2021 to be more accurate, more exact. So then it should be known for 2020 basically, what these numbers are. Because it's all in a database and that can immediately show the results, obviously. This is considerable.com. Daily COVID-19 deaths in the US versus other leading causes of death. chart illustrates the starting rise of coronavirus deaths over the last few weeks. On this one, COVID-19 is in third place. And this is for the USA. So in the US, COVID-19, according to this chart, is killing more people than heart disease and cancer. But when we're talking pandemic, then we have to look at global numbers. The leading causes of death in the world, can they be cured? Proclinical.com. Perhaps I'll read this nice article with illustrations. And this is a very interesting visualization on public.flourish.studio. I've already added the links in the description. If you scroll past my channels, then you'll find the links to all the articles that I'm covering. And we can take a look at this animation. Like so. Should reload now. Where is COVID? Oh, wait, a little bit back if that's possible. So COVID entered the arena on the 7th of April 2020. And then we can see that slide up. So this is for the year 2020. So this doesn't go to 2021 either. So 12th of July 2020, COVID was in 14th place. Not even in the top 10 of top global causes of death. Also a link to how this was made. So that's an interesting overview, and it would be nice to have that with more recent numbers basically. Okay, then another article, World's Top 10 Deadliest Diseases. I might read this as well. Number 1, ischemic heart disease. 8.8 million deaths, 2015. Well, if we compare that to Wiki, then cardiovascular diseases killed 17.65 million in 2016. So that's more than double, or practically double the number. Stroke is number 2. Ischemic heart disease is about 15.5% worldwide, or in 2015, according to golfnews.com. This one is on rpubs.com. And this was public.flourish.studio. So number 1, ischemic heart disease. Number 2, stroke, 6.2 million. And then number 3, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, 3.1 million deaths in 2015. So that's already beaten by COVID now, you could argue, but that's not true. Because this number, the 3.5 million, is for 2020 plus 2021. So then you should compare the yearly death rate, basically. But basically it's probably somewhere between chronic obstructive pulmonary disease and respiratory cancers. Number 5, leading cause of death in 2015, 1.7 million respiratory cancer deaths. 6, diabetes, 1.6 million. 7, Alzheimer's disease, 1.6 million deaths, 2015. Diarrheal diseases, 1.4 million deaths. Number 9, tuberculosis, TB, 1.3 million deaths in 2015. And cirrhosis, healthy liver filters harmful substances. Cirrhosis is the result of chronic or long-term scarring and damage to the liver. 1.2 million deaths in 2015. Okay, so then I'm not gonna read that. I'll read the other one. And this article of thisrn.com makes clear new CDC report says 94% of COVID deaths had underlying conditions, only 6% died from COVID alone. And it has a link to the CDC website. Let's see what this was. Okay. Comorbidities and other conditions. So this is the page they've taken the data from, one of these monthly final data, etc. So we can also read this. Only 6% died from COVID alone. According to the report, only 6% of the COVID-19 deaths in the US list COVID-19 as the only cause of death. 94% of COVID-19 deaths involved at least one other underlying health condition and on average involved, quote, 2.6 additional conditions or causes of deaths, unquote. The CDC listed the top underlying medical conditions linked to coronavirus deaths as influenza and pneumonia, reminding me of the history of mass damage. I've also covered primarydoctor.org, 42 studies that show that masks are neither effective nor safe. Oops. And bacterial pneumonia caused most deaths in 1918. Influenza pandemic, according to the National Institutes of Health, NIH.gov. As I've shown in previous broadcasts already, Dr. Taubenberger made clear in most cases the predominant disease at the time of death appeared to have been bacterial pneumonia. They did autopsies, lung tissue samples of 58 soldiers who died of influenza at various US military bases in 1918 and 1919. ranging from changes characteristic of the primary viral pneumonia and evidence of tissue repair to evidence of severe acute secondary bacterial pneumonia. Anyway, I'm not going into that right now, but mask wearing can cause hypercapnia, for example, too much carbon dioxide, CO2 in the blood, about 4 times the permitted or advised legal amount, the standard maximum amount basically. There's also a video about it on YouTube. So of course doctors should also take care that they don't mislabel pneumonia deaths as COVID-19 deaths. And there are doctors that have reported a rise in the number of pneumonia cases. But it's not about it now, so the CDC listed the top underlying medical conditions linked to coronavirus deaths as influenza and pneumonia, respiratory failure, hypertensive disease, diabetes, vascular and unspecified dementia, cardiac arrest, heart failure, renal failure, intentional and unintentional injury, poisoning and other adverse events, and other medical conditions. Alright, so leading causes of death in the world. 2017 Proclinical.com. And then I'm going to read this with the text-to-speech engine and scroll through the illustrations.
The leading causes of death in the world, can they be cured? Tony Mitchell, October 5, 2017. Share this post. The leading causes of death in the world, can they be cured? Following a survey carried out by the World Health Organization, WHO, Proclinical has compiled a list of the top leading causes of death in the world. While some diseases are well known for causing high death rates worldwide, there are a few that may come as a surprise. It's not all doom and gloom though, as the life sciences is always striving to make medical advances to find cures for these deadly diseases. Find out more. 10. Road accidents. Roadaccidents.jpg. Tragically, as many as 1.3 million deaths are a result of road accidents every year. It is the leading cause of accidental death. Road accidents often lead to death as the impact of a collision can cause severe injuries such as head trauma, brain swelling, hemorrhages and blood clots, external and/or internal bleeding, or a broken neck. It's the leading cause of death among those aged 15-30, with 90% of cases occurring in developing countries, and a further 20-50 million people a year suffer vehicular-related injuries, including disability. In the last 30 years, survival rates for road accidents have doubled. This is partly thanks to safer vehicles but also due to improvements in medical devices for diagnostics, treating wounds and replacing failed organs. With the introduction of 3D printed organs and robotic surgery, fatalities can be expected to decline further. Also, improved blood transfusion equipment has been shown to decrease the time it takes to do a blood transfusion, which could mean the difference between life and death in an emergency situation. 9. Tuberculosis, TB, TB.jpg. TB was one of the most prevalent global epidemics in the 18th and 19th centuries. Since a cure for TB was discovered by Selman Waksman in 1943, the number of TB-related deaths declined significantly in the years following. The widespread distribution of the TB vaccine, BCG, helped to reduce cases further, although it has not been entirely effective in preventing the disease. In fact, TB remains a significant threat as one of the top 10 killers in the world. 1/3 of the world's population is infected with TB bacteria every year, causing over 9 million cases and resulting in around 1.4 million deaths. Pharmaceutical giant Sanofi is teaming up with the TB Alliance to develop new treatments for TB, including drug-resistant forms, which are becoming an increasing threat to patients. Other companies researching new treatments for TB are Otsuka Pharmaceutical and Sequela, who are trialing drugs carboxyl compound OPC 167832 and SQ109, respectively.
UNICEF also warned a long time ago that there will be about 1.4 million extra tuberculosis deaths due to the lockdown measures. So my advice to politicians and the government is to also look at how many deaths are caused by the imposition of the coronavirus measures, or by the measures rather than COVID-19 itself, because several experts in the study and doctors make clear that the measures will kill a lot more people than what is, according to the mainstream media, mild virus with an extremely high recovery rate and low mortality rate, COVID-19 caused by SARS-CoV-2 virus.
8. Diarrheal diseases. Diarrheal.jpg. Diarrheal diseases, including cholera and dysentery, are another leading cause of mortality, particularly in developing countries. It is the second leading cause of death in children under 5 years, killing approximately 525,000 children every year. Prolonged bouts of diarrhea strip the person of water and vital electrolytes such as sodium and chloride, leading to fatal levels of dehydration and malnutrition. These diseases are predominantly caused by drinking unclean water and or living in unsanitary conditions, but can be easily treated with medication. However, insufficient availability of these life-saving drugs in many developing countries makes it difficult to control the widespread outbreaks, leading to 1.39 million deaths a year. 7. Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer's 2.jpg. The number of people dying from Alzheimer's disease, the leading cause of dementia, is rapidly increasing every year, 1.54 million. Alzheimer's is a neurodegenerative disease in which patients experience a gradual decrease in cognitive ability, such as memory and speech, caused by a buildup of amyloid proteins. Currently, there is no known way to prevent or cure Alzheimer's disease. A lot of research is currently being undertaken by several top 10 pharmaceutical companies to understand what the causes are and if there is a possible cure for Alzheimer's. For example, Biogen has 3 late-stage drugs: BAN2401, Phase 2, E2609, Phase 3, and aducanumab, Phase 3, in its pipeline. These drugs have been effective in improving cognitive function by blocking or removing the harmful proteins. Also, Takeda Pharmaceuticals and Zinfandel Pharmaceuticals have partnered to validate a biomarker called TOM40 to use as a test for Alzheimer's that will help with early detection of the disease. To find out more, see our blog about the current research efforts into Alzheimer's. 6. Diabetes. Diabetes.jpg. There is a growing global epidemic of diabetes that affects over 400 million people, resulting in approximately 1.59 million deaths each year. There are 2 types of the disease. One is an autoimmune condition whilst the other is linked to poor lifestyle choices such as diet. In both cases, the body has difficulty dealing with insulin, an agent that helps the body to absorb and process glucose. To find out some more facts about diabetes, check out our blog. As the number of diabetes-related deaths increases, pharmaceutical companies are working to develop better treatments to help patients to manage the disease. For example, Novo Nordisk is currently attempting to create a way for patients with type 1 diabetes to take their drugs via pill instead of injection, in response to growing demand. The company is in the advanced stages of testing an oral version of a GLP-1, drugs that stimulate the pancreas, as well as oral insulin. 10 Facts You Should Know About Diabetes. What does the future look like for people living with Parkinson's disease? What are the different phases of clinical trials? Is there a cure for HIV/AIDS? 5. Lung cancer, trachea and bronchus. Lung disease, particularly lung cancer, is number 5 of the top 10 killers. It is responsible for over 1.6 million deaths worldwide. Lung cancer is a particularly aggressive and serious form of cancer that is very common in smokers, accounting for 85% of cases. Countries such as Spain and Hungary are highly affected by the disease, and in China, it is the most common type of cancer. Leading the research into lung cancer are prominent pharmaceutical companies such as AstraZeneca, Merck and Roche. In early 2017, AstraZeneca had their drug Tagrisso approved after demonstrating that it reduces many lung cancer symptoms including appetite loss, fatigue, breathlessness and chest pain. In October 2016, the FDA approved Keytruda, an immunotherapy treatment developed by Merck. Immunotherapy, which involves stimulating the body's natural immune capabilities to fight cancer, is currently a focus for many pharmaceutical companies as it has proved quite effective in treating various types of the disease. However, a lot of research is still needed to find out the full capabilities of this kind of treatment. 4. Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD. The fourth leading cause of death globally is a cluster of airway conditions that fall under the term chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. These include chronic bronchitis and emphysema, which are conditions that make the lungs inflamed and damaged. The main cause is smoking, although COPD can affect non-smokers, particularly asthma patients and those who live in very polluted areas. Asian populations are most affected because of high levels of pollution in countries such as Nepal, North Korea and India. COPD is estimated to be the cause of 3.17 million deaths every year. Frontrunners in research include AstraZeneca and GlaxoSmithKline, GSK. AstraZeneca has several early and late-stage COPD drugs in their pipeline, including benralizumab, which has been effective so far in improving lung function. GSK also has several COPD drugs in various stages, including many in phase 2 and 3 such as mepolizumab, which has been seen as a breakthrough for patients suffering with severe asthma. Top 10 causes of death 1.png. 3. Lower respiratory infections COP.jpg. Lower respiratory infections are the deadliest communicable diseases in the world, which are triggered by viruses and bacteria. These diseases affect the patient's lungs and airways. Examples include influenza, the flu, bronchitis and pneumonia. Global flu epidemics and pneumonia are known to cause devastation in elderly and infant populations every year. In 2015, pneumonia killed 920,136 children under the age of 5, mostly in South Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa. The introduction of vaccines has been incredibly effective in lowering mortality rates over the past 20-30 years, particularly in developing countries. Polifer, a Swiss pharmaceutical company, is currently trialing the drug murabavin, which has proved successful in treating 9 out of 10 patients with antibiotic-resistant pneumonia.
So on the illustration we can see that lower respiratory infections killed a total of 3.19 million people in 2015. Because in the other stories with these illustrations, they list the amount. I thought let's mention it.
As the flu virus is constantly changing, the flu vaccine composition is adapted each year to make it as effective as possible. 2. Stroke. The second leading cause of death worldwide is stroke. A stroke occurs when the blood supply to the brain is disrupted, causing brain cells to die. This can lead to brain injury, disability and in some cases, death. The main causes of a stroke are from a blockage, blood clot, ischemic, or a ruptured blood vessel, hemorrhagic. Most prevalent in developing countries in Southeast Asia and the Caribbean, Strokes account for 6.24 million deaths per year. There has been a recent breakthrough in clinical research with PCSK9 inhibitors, which are injectable drugs that dramatically lower cholesterol levels when combined with a statin. This has been seen to lower the risk of stroke and heart attacks in patients. The first PCSK9 drugs to be approved were Sanofi and Regeneron's alirocumab and Amgen's evolocumab in the summer of 2015. In early 2017 it was announced that a promising treatment for strokes is being made more widely available to patients, the mechanical thrombectomy. This is a device that can remove a stroke-causing clot with the help of clot-busting drugs, and has shown to significantly improve quality of life in the months following the stroke. 1. Ischemic heart disease, coronary artery disease, heart disease.jpg. Topping the list of the world's most deadly diseases is ischemic heart disease, more commonly known as coronary artery disease. Responsible for nearly 9 million deaths every year, heart disease is caused by a buildup of fatty deposits on the wall of the arteries, usually attributed to lifestyle choices or other conditions such as high blood pressure or diabetes. This disease is deadly as the patient's arteries become narrowed, restricting blood and oxygen flow to the heart, potentially leading to a fatal heart attack. Non-deadly attacks cause chest pain known as angina, which can precede a heart attack. Eastern European countries such as Ukraine, Uzbekistan and Kyrgyzstan suffer the highest number of casualties, most likely due to the heavy drinking culture and high levels of pollution. As the number one cause of death, it's a major point of focus for several pharmaceutical companies, many of which are currently developing better treatments to help patients with heart disease. A global leader in cardiovascular disease is Pfizer, which has drug PF06282999 in early clinical phase development and is continuously seeking ways to treat the causes behind cardiovascular disease. Similarly, AstraZeneca boasts a strong cardiovascular pipeline with promising drugs across all clinical phases. If you would like to be a part of developing life-saving drugs and treatments for some of the leading global causes of mortality, consider a career in clinical research. At Proclinical Staffing, we are dedicated to helping professionals to find their ideal position working for many of these top pharmaceutical employers. Upload your CV to the Proclinical website or have a look at our current clinical research jobs, and our specialist recruitment consultants will be in touch with any suitable roles, many of which are with the top 10 pharmaceutical companies in the world.
Okay, it was an interesting article. So I always try to use natural cures, avoid chemical, cancer-causing prescription drugs. According to Dr. Cyril Smith, chemicals have a synergistic effect they amplify the effects of cancer-causing electromagnetic radiation. And I also use this nebulizer with colloidal silver. Now I turned it on. It's very quiet and it produces this mist. Don't know if you all can see it. Perhaps it's best to use a black part. And of course, the asthma patients also use this, Lamudol for example. And I put aluminum foil around it because colloidal silver should not be exposed to light. And this can also be used with batteries. It's between 26 and 36 bucks, basically ideal for nebulization. Alright, so that's it for this broadcast. I hope you all enjoyed it. To put things in perspective, In most countries, more people are still dying from cancer and heart disease. And when looking at the numbers, we can look at 2020, for example, and compare that. So I hope they put the information for 2020 online, qua most deadly diseases. Top global causes of death for all diseases for 2020. We're now in 2021, so this is only up to July 2020, July 12th. But at least it's online, so that's good. Thanks to the people who made all these wonderful articles so that we know more about what we're talking about. Including CIA World Factbook. Can also be interesting. So I can advise everybody to study more and to put things in perspective and help to prevent the coronavirus paranoia pilots, the politicians, from ruining our society and stripping us of all our essential freedoms that some of our ancestors died for to protect. I can take a quick look at the chat. If anybody wrote anything in the chat, not yet. Only 9 playbacks. Well, I hope people spread this video. Others are not giving a balanced view, and they can be quite misleading, fear-mongering, leading to an overreaction, paranoia, corona paranoia, basically. So this is it for now. Check my previous broadcasts. 6 effective measures we can implement besides the WHO guidelines that I've listed. And that's it for now. So kiss for single ladies who'd like one. And hope to see you next time on Perfect Society. Please help spread the important videos and or information for a better future for humanity, to create a perfect society in which we all will live happily eternally, possible because everything is energy, everything is a possibility, positive and negative. So we must learn to channel the energy to bestow maximum fulfillment upon ourselves, the human race, the most advanced organism in the universe. Another thing that I've discovered is time tea, basically. That's very nice. So yeah, may peace be with you all. See you next time on Perfect Society. I'm Ulrich Hoffman. Over and out.